The Brent Spiner clone here is deflecting the blame away from his terrorist wife, Lori McBride, onto guns. He's quoting Thomas Jefferson, I guess because he's one of the founders of our country. Well, Thomas Jefferson had an idealized view of the world, and he believed the world was getting better and better, but the Bible makes it plain that we are in the last days and it's getting worse and worse. So that argument just goes out the window. And the real Brent Spiner commented about that Texas church attack, and he's right. You know what I think it really happened? That was a Lori McBride Jesuit. The shooter was a Lori McBride Jesuit, and he was working as Lori's agent because the churches believe my Bible for tribulation saints should be added to the canon of Scripture. And Jesus Christ himself has condemned Lori as too prideful and stated that Brent Spiner has never wanted her. Here we are back with the clone again, quoting Thomas Jefferson, trying to cover up for his terrorist wife, Lori McBride. And please understand that the Brent Spiner Twitter, the official Brent Spiner Twitter, has been taken over by the evil clone. So when you go to the Brent Spiner with the blue check mark, that is a fake Brent there. That's a clone. And he's taken over Brent's Twitter and ruined it. He's turned into a social justice warrior who rants and raves on Twitter, taking the alt-left positions, because that's what Lori McBride is using as the cover for her terrorist activities. She hates Donald Trump because Donald Trump supports me, okay? And I am the Empress, and she's trying to oust me as Empress, and Donald Trump is acting in my stead, and he's doing a good job. So she doesn't like him. Take a look at this. See that clone there on the left? He doesn't look anything like the manly Texas Brent Spiner. And Lori is attacking Texas because Dallas Theological Seminary is in Texas, and they believe that my Bible for tribulation saints should be added to the canon of Scripture. They're kind of like at the forefront of all the seminaries out there believing that. So they're attacking. Lori hates Texas. The Texans love me. Okay, and this is really interesting. How to be a social justice warrior. How to be a social justice warrior. 1, assume that every white male is a racist, misogynist rapist like Donald Trump. And the Brent Spiner Jew clone is a social justice warrior at Twitter. Now, the real Brent Spiner, when he was at Twitter, he wasn't a social justice warrior. He kind of like his political comments were more balanced. He wasn't such a strong, fanatical alt-leftist like the clone. 2, look for microaggressions in every situation. They're there. 3, remember that victimhood is empowering, a way to get rich quick. 4, health is a social construct. Eat up. 5, don't let anyone speak if you disagree with them. Keep shouting. Or even better, keep shooting. Terrorism pays. Why I married Lori McBride. 6, become generous at spending other people's money, like the real Brent Spiner's money. 7, forget biology. Gender is whatever you want it to be. 8, economics. Shuckonomics. 9, get a college degree in anything. All degrees are the same. 10, remember, feelings are the same as facts. So basically, the Brent Spiner clone has turned into this dorky social justice warrior and totally ruined Brent Spiner's Twitter. He's taking Lori McBride's fanatical alt-left positions, and he's actually allowing people who disagree with him on Twitter to make it look like he's a genuine social justice person, like he really cares about these issues that he's bringing up. It's all a cover. He's just spouting all this nonsense to try to get you deflected away from the fact that he is married to a terrorist and that he supports her, and she is helping him to steal the real Brent Spiner's money so he can live high on the hog and live his lustful, sexy celebrity lifestyle and steal Brent Spiner's celebrity status without consequences. Now, that's his real motive for being a social justice warrior. This is all a front. What he really believes and what he says are two different things. So you just can't believe a word that he says. Here's a drawing I made of an actual photo that I saw of the real Brent Spiner in Germany when he was going on the December 1996 Star Trek First Contact tour in Europe. And at that time, I had Franco Nero in my life because I was very confused about what was going on with Brent Spiner and Laurie McBride. And Laurie McBride, when I transferred my affections from Brent to Franco Nero, she attempted to seduce Franco Nero in London. She wore this V-neck, and they actually took pictures of it. She had a V-neck going all the way down to her belly button. You could see her nipples practically. And she tried to seduce Franco Nero. And Franco Nero called Brent Spiner up and said, he was in a panic and said that she tried to seduce him. I think she tried to put drugs in his alcoholic beverage like she did with Brent, but she didn't succeed. And so Brent confronted her about this, and you see this glaring look in her eyes. She denied it and said, "Oh no, he tried to rape me." That's what she always does. She always blames her victims. And yet Brent still kept her. So I wondered, what is going on? She tried to seduce Franco Nero and Brent still kept her. I found out later it's because he was keeping her because she was threatening death on me if he wouldn't maintain her as a girlfriend. I figured he told me about this later, but that is an accurate drawing of the real nature of their relationship in the 1990s. Now, most of you haven't been following Laurie like I have since 1996. Or actually a little bit earlier than that, but mostly 1996 because I wasn't aware of her until then. But I can tell you from looking at the internet since 1996, there are a lot of very strange photos of Brent and Laurie that have come online. I mean, it's so obvious that all of these pictures of Brent and Laurie looking happy together when she's with the real Brent are Photoshop. I mean, take a look underneath his ear. Look at that. This is sloppy Photoshop. And yet, I mean, if anybody with half a brain, if you study the pictures of Brent and Laurie together, you can tell that they're all Photoshop. Brent told me that any pictures of him looking happy with Laurie are all Photoshop. They mess with her face to make her look softer. They mess with Brent's face to make him look compatible with her. He said he has never been with her in public and been happy about it ever. And if he looks happy, he said that's Photoshop. Anyways, I've had it with the Brent Spiner clone, that he's taken over the real Brent's Twitter and actually turned my awesome Brent into a shallow, evil social justice warrior whose only goal is to try to bring down Trump and anybody who supports Trump just because Trump supports me. I'm not saying Donald Trump is perfect. I am the Empress, though, and I have assigned him in my stead to be like my public representative. And I can't believe this tweet. He actually tweeted about, he said this, apparently a lot of that is going around. Somebody said, I don't claim to have a solution, but I'm certain it will not be a buzzword. That hate and anger is the true cause. This is true. This is true. And the Brent Spiner clone is allowing this guy to comment at his Twitter. I actually think they're both Laurie McBride Jesuits, but he's allowing this guy to comment at his Twitter to make it appear like he's not in a conspiracy with Laurie McBride as a fellow terrorist. And he answered this, well, apparently a lot of that hate and anger is going around. Since 1967, over 1 million gun deaths in America. And I thought, this is his comment about what happened at the Texas church shooting. Probably also his comment about Las Vegas. Did you know that in both cases it was a Laurie McBride Jesuit who did the shooting? That was a Laurie McBride Jesuit at Las Vegas. And that was a Laurie McBride Jesuit at the church. You say, well, why in the world would she go shoot up a church? Well, I'm writing something called Bible for Tribulation Saints right now. And it's looking to be about the size of the Bible. And from what I understand, every major theological seminary recognizes it as part of the canon of Scripture, which means it will be considered the Bible to Christians, to the evangelical community. You know, Laurie McBride finds that really threatening. She's been succeeding so far by getting me labeled as a crazy lady. But she's going to have a hard time with that label if all the evangelical churches recognize my book, Bible for Tribulation Saints, as being part of the Bible. So now she's trying to intimidate the churches, saying, "How dare you give that Gail any recognition as a sane person whose writing should be recognized as part of the Bible." She says, "I'm going to shoot you down." So what I think was really going on, I think at this Texas church, they were probably having a celebration about the fact that that more Bible was coming out. Because I think I'll be finished with Bible for Tribulation Saints around Christmas. That's my Christmas present to Jesus. And you know what I'm doing right now? I've already told Zach Knight and his Jesuit supporters, who are the Gail Court Schuler Jesuits, I've told them that I really don't think, see, Jesuits don't come to Jesus because they see him as a cock blocker. And it's not, and they perceive the Bible as a book for cock blockers. And so to help Jesus reach more Jesuits, I've told Zach Knight, I don't think Jesus would have a problem at all if you all didn't, for your daily devotions, you just read Bible for Tribulation Saints. They actually have there's a copy of it out right now, even though I'm not finished with the book. It's sort of the unedited version, and it's out because I wanted to get this out because it's so important to know what Jesus has said to us and what he's done with us. And that's what the whole book's about. It's Jesus has showed up with us and, spoken to us, advised us, and that sort of thing. And the whole book is about all of his appearances to us, what he said, and the circumstances around what he said. And it's really helping people to know how to follow God in these last days. That's why I call it Bible for Tribulation Saints. I think the Tribulation Saints will consider this book as essential as the Bible for guidance during the tribulation and even for now. So I told Zach Knight, your Jesuits they can just, read this book, and I think God would consider it the same as the Bible. And this way we don't have to lose Jesuits just because Satan lies to them and tells them that Jesus is the cock blocker when he's not. So it's going to be added to the Bible. And right now in my devotions, I'm actually using Bible for Tribulation Saints in place of the Bible most of the time, because it's more up to date and it gives me more guidance about, the way the world is right now. And I think that this is God's time to add more to the Bible because he wants to really help the world out. He's heartbroken about putting the world through the Great Tribulation. So anyways, I was just saying, this is really so hypocritical of this Brent Spiner clone. He's spouting that he's trying to blame it all on guns, saying apparently a lot of that is going around. Since 1967, over 1 million gun deaths in America. So his wife, Lori McBride, hires agents to go shoot everybody down who get in her way or who don't give her respect, or she tries to intimidate them like she did this church. Actually, I think it's going to have the opposite effect, because I've actually passed new laws now where we're going to give scanners to all the churches that will take out any Lori McBride Jesuits in their vicinity. But Lori McBride has terrorized the real Brent Spiner since 1992. She has now dropped nukes worldwide in 27. Her death count from this is in the billions. And so I tweeted the Brent Spiner clone. I said, your wife, Lori's terrorism, has killed billions in 2017. Who are you to talk, you fake murdering clone? None of this gets reported either because of your Jew clone dirty lawyers. Okay, folks, I have written new law to try to prevent future terrorist attacks on churches because Lori's trying to send a message to the churches. She is Satan's right-hand person right now. She hates Jesus. She hates his followers. And churches out there, you need to protect yourselves. I've written new law and I want all of you to get Jesuit scanners, set them up around your churches, give them to your people. These will take out dangerous Lori McBride Jesuits and help protect you, hopefully, against any future terrorist attacks. And hopefully, Lori McBride hates Jesus. If Jesus was wandering around and could be killed right now, she'd be first in line to crucify him all over again.